Hi, Peter Allen's Vigor Transformations, and I'm going to continue off of kind of a short that I made. What I'm going to do is kind of work my glute, my hip, and my quad, because I need to lengthen the fascia here to promote better movement through my lower extremities. So first what I'm going to do, mind you, I've already done a bunch of loosening of the hip and the glute. And the best way to do it is to kind of get in a stretched or shortened position. It is also helpful to kind of do it when we're standing too, because we got to get it in positions that we're naturally in, or naturally can't get into very well anymore. And once we start to understand that if we stretch the muscle and then we use kind of percussion therapy, if you will, we're going to start eliciting really huge responses and getting that fascia moving. Now with all the clients that I've been doing this with, they're kind of amazed at how much they can get just out of basically an hour of this. But by continuing to do it and promoting good movement patterns and mechanics and better posture when you're outside in the gym or out of the gym, that's when kind of the real magic kind of happens, if you will. So what I'm doing is kind of loosening the hip a little bit. I can feel my quad starting to stretch. Now I'm going to kind of get down into the media part. You got to realize, like, all your quadriceps come right out from this angle, right here. And then they attach above the knee. But all too often I realize they're kind of getting stuck together like many other muscles. Our fascial lines don't care about a particular muscle. They kind of are transports, but also it's kind of where the muscles rip and tear, if you will. And all too often they're kind of getting stuck together. So it mixes the signals up and the muscles can't fire appropriately. So what happened to me is my muscles just got too tight, kind of like everybody else over the years. I was focused more on strength training and not enough on stretching. And I realized the importance of what I was missing. But all too often, you know, maybe I'd encounter a pain and then I'd stretch and the pain would go away. And then I'm like, okay, everything's better now, I don't got to do it anymore. And not realizing that whenever there's pain or tightness, scar tissue is kind of developing. And it's usually especially the pain is a secondary response to something kind of bigger happening. And again, I didn't realize that my hip and my glute had gotten so tight because I kept strength training, and just didn't work my flexibility. Now, a lot of us kind of think, all right, with yoga, Pilates, I'm working my flexibility, but you got to understand too, your muscles are under constant strain. When you're in that, maybe you can't get into the right posture or the right movement, and you may not kind of notice it or realize it, myself included. And this is where, again, stretching and using percussion therapy has become basically an invaluable tool for me to show and get other people to understand that the fascia can really actually get moved. It's just a matter of loosening all the tissue up and around those joints and understanding kind of what happens to our body over time. And that's what I kind of took these last few months to really realize is our body systematically starts to tighten. And once we understand that it systematically tightens, we can start to systematically release the tissue from these major junction points and start to facilitate real kind of growth or change in our bodies to address posture issues, mechanical issues, kind of anything you kind of name it. That's the big stride, in my opinion, that I've come to realize. And hopefully other people will start to realize this too, that we can actually move our fascia with percussion therapy. It's a lot faster than kind of manually. I was doing it for years manually and realizing it's just so slow, and I'm kind of band-aid working a lot of stuff. As where with percussion therapy, I can actually elicit huge changes. And again, especially if I stay on it, and then now that I'm adding exercises in to promote bigger movement and get bigger stretches, I can do things that I haven't been able to do in probably about a decade. Catching for my daughter, throwing a softball, things like that, that I think a lot of people, you know, maybe fear or are worried, and that's what we got to understand. It's not just strength, it's our tightness, it's our flexibility that affects our posture the most. All right, hopefully you found this helpful. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.